Next comic come up to the stage. He used to do comedy here in Greeley a few years ago and then got out of it, and now he's back again. So we're glad to have him with us on this stage. Want everybody to give a big welcome for Mr. Andy Johnson.
It's nice to be at the Moose Lodge tonight. I'm originally from Minnesota. Extremely cold. Ooh, you're from Minnesota? Oh, okay. Very, very cold in Minnesota. The record temperature 52 degrees below zero wind chill. My father told me that all his dairy cattle gave ice cream. Biggest tragedy since this summer when it was 100 degrees and the chickens laid hard-boiled eggs. As I said, I'm from Minnesota. And first of all, before I start, I do want to give a shout out to my brother in Minnesota. Kind of a special deal for him. He's epileptic, but he's worked hard his whole life. He opened up his own business. He opened up a pizza place called Little Seizures. Clap for him. I had a rough day this morning. I went through nearly an entire gallon of washer fluid before I realized that the spot was on my glasses. It's $1.99 you're not going to get back. I drink too much, unfortunately. I drink a lot, and the other day I woke up alone, decided to take advantage of the situation, peed the door open, ate a hamburger in my underwear, and then the manager of the Wendy's told me I needed to go home. I read my horoscope. It said, take a kid, go fishing with a kid, and I thought, wow, I don't even know where I'd put the hook. I got invited to a potluck for Christmas, a Christmas potluck. They told me, bring a vegetable. Well, I got caught sneaking them out of the home because his wheelchair squeaked. So. Had a bad week last week. I got arrested with a 400-pound hooker. Now that's a felony because anything over 275 pounds is possession with intent to distribute. They had her on the hood of the car saying, no, this isn't just for you, sir. Here, you're sharing this with your friends. I'm the father of 3 kids. I have 3 adult kids. Love my kids to death. I took my kids back to Minnesota for the first time in 7 years for Christmas. The entire family got together. And now my kids are all adults, so they like to drink. And my daughter came up with probably the greatest line I've ever heard. She's got a screwdriver in her hand. She's a new drinker, so she just called it she called it vodka with orange juice. I said, that's a screwdriver, honey. Learn your lingo. She said, when we were little, we used to ask Grandma for popsicles. Now we ask Grandma, where's the vodka? And now we've lived in Colorado for 10 years. Came from Minnesota, lived here for 10 years, and I realized that my children have become completely a part of the Colorado culture. And I realized this when my mother was cooking Christmas dinner and she asked for popovers and 2 of the kids handed her a pint. My youngest daughter always called me Ethel from the time she was born, from the time she could first talk. She said, Ethel, I'm hungry. Ethel, feed me. Ethel, change my diaper. It wasn't until she was 4 years old that I realized she had a speech impediment. She'd been calling me asshole. I told my kids from the time they were little, I always told them the same thing. Kids who don't get good grades, where do you go? You go to prison. Kids who don't get good grades go to prison. I was talking to my daughter today, and she's in college. Goes to Colorado Springs. Great kid. And I said, how are your grades, honey? She said, Dad, your grades are fine. I said, well, we're paying a lot of money for this. You sure your grades are okay? She said, Dad, my grades are fine. I'm doing good. I said, well, you know where kids who don't get good grades go, right? She said, yeah, to a cheap comedy night at the Moose Lodge. I took my kids camping, or as I like to call it, sleep in the dirt, shit in the woods. And my oldest daughter is the safety captain of the family. She's everything is safe with her. We got to talk about everything. So she says, Dad, says, we need to talk, because this isn't a KOA campground. This isn't just sleeping in a cabin. This is the real stuff. There's things out there in them mountains that could eat you. So first question, Dad, if a bear wanders into the campsite, what do? I said, well, that's easy. We bang on some pots and pans, we make a bunch of noise, and the bear leaves. If it doesn't leave, we'll all get into our vehicles, and we will head down the side of the mountain together. She said, very good, Dad. Next question. A cougar wanders into the camp, what do? I said, if she's hot, I'll catch up to you. I grew up the son of a farmer. My father's a great guy. But I always remember to this day what he used to tell me. He used to look at me and he'd say, son, I love you, but you are a fucking idiot. Though, of course, for purposes of the joke, I'm exaggerating. He never said he loved me. I called him up the other day and I said, Dad, I think I blew the engine in my truck. He said, well, son, I'm not judging you for your personal choices, but the politically correct term would be Native American. I saw the kids just walk in here, so that was a little uncomfortable. Here's a huge difference between me and my father. My father grew up literally farming with horses, tilled the ground by hand, did everything the hard way, did his talking with his fists if he had to, breaking cattle, breaking horses, doing the whole thing. It didn't matter, right? Hard man, tough man. I got knocked out in Wii boxing by my youngest daughter. But he was a farmer. He did a lot of things. And as they say with farmers, he fed the nation. You know, and I don't really measure up. I live in an apartment because I'm afraid of yard work. I am divorced. I've been divorced about 2.5 years now. And being married is weird, but being divorced is even odder. Right at the end of our marriage, I knew it was going to end. She came up to me and fists curled, fire in her eyes, and she said, I will give you all the money that I have saved in my bank account right now if you leave the house and you never come back. And I said, I've known you for 25 years, and if there's one thing you're not, it's a saver. I will be sleeping in the other room. I asked her what she wanted for Christmas, and she said, I want a divorce. And I said, I really wasn't planning on spending that much. I had bad habits. You get complacent after 23 years of marriage. You get complacent, you start doing things, and probably the worst habit that I had was I peed in the shower all the time. I always peed in the shower, and she gets so mad at me. She'd say, stop peeing in the shower. Now, the fact that I was standing on the bathroom sink when she caught me is beside the point. My oldest daughter called me the other day, and her friend's dad had passed away. We were the same age. And she was telling me about this situation, and this is what it was. That her friend's dad and his ex-wife had been divorced about 15 years. And they had just recently begun to date again. They had found their way back to one another. And then unfortunately, he passed away. We're the same age. He passed away, and the person that actually found him in his bed was his ex-wife and now, girlfriend. And my daughter said, Dad, that worries me because that could be you. And I said, oh, honey, don't worry. Me and your mom will never date again. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and we have a bar here, and a few dollars for a drink, a few dollars for a shot or whatever, but there's places where you can go and you can spend $1,000 on a bottle of tequila. Dave's a liquor guy, you can buy some very, very expensive booze. And the friend of mine asked me, he said, what was the most expensive drink you ever purchased? I said, I think it was the one that I bought for my ex-wife the night I met her. It cost me 23 years of my life. Half of my stuff. And I started dating. Again, dating is tough, especially you're a little older. I'm overweight. I decided I should try and maybe go to the doctor, start a diet plan. And he said, Andy, you're overweight. He said, you're fat. I said, fat? I said, come on, doc. He said, look, we just changed your blood type to a flavor of gravy. Took a selfie of myself the other day. It said, picture too large compressing. I need to lose weight. And a woman about a year ago, she said, send me one of those kind of pictures. I said, what do you mean? She said, you know what kind of picture I mean? Send me a picture. I'm like, okay. So I took the picture, and I sent it immediately because I'm not going to look at that sort of thing. She sent me this back, and this was the exact message it said. It said, nice rug. And I'm like, nice rug? I said, oh my God, I'm imagining, because I can't see, I'm fat, of course. I said, well, it must look like a button in a pile of steel wool or something. That's embarrassing. I said, well, let me spruce it up a little bit, and I'll take another picture and I'll send it right back to her. And she said, no, look at the picture. Nice rug. And so then I looked at the picture, and all I saw was my belly in the bathroom rug. I went on a date a few weeks ago, and I don't pick well. This particular woman had 12 children, 12 biological kids, and we had a nice time. I took her to Waffle House, and she ordered breakfast. 12 kids is a lot of kids. She ordered breakfast, and when the waitress asked her, well, how do you want your eggs? I said, I think fertilized. We tried. I thought she was coming to take me off the stage. Well, obviously, it's not the first time I've been taken off the stage.
He knew. I'm watching.
Tried phone sex for the first time the other day. And I don't think I'm doing it right, but if I'm going to do it again, I'm going to get a smaller phone and a piece of string. I don't think I was doing it right. Oh my goodness. I have the kind of relationship with my children where we tease each other. My youngest daughter, I've always told her that her nickname is Stormy the Weather Girl. And she says, why do you call me Stormy the Weather Girl, Dad? I said, because that pimple on your chin is not going to take as long to clear up as these clothes will. But that's okay. Because we were sitting at a restaurant today, this morning for breakfast actually, and she got me back. She said extremely loud when the restaurant was very quiet, she says, stop calling me fat, Dad. Stop calling me fat. And the entire restaurant just turned around and looked at me. So she gets me back. My oldest daughter called me up one day, and she said, we'd like to take you out for your birthday. And I said, okay. I said, you know, what are we going to do? She says, it's a surprise, Dad. But I just want to tell you, don't eat anything today. And I said, oh, okay, we're going to go out to eat. And she says, no, you're kind of a fat ass. Just skip a meal. That's my time. Thank you very, very much.
Andy Johnson, everybody. Keep it going for it. Come on. Our next comic comes to the stage. Actually, I used to do an open mic here in town, and he actually did